Alright, this one we're going to do the hind quarter. Got a lot of meat here. This is from a big doe, and first thing I do, a little trick, I keep some warm water right next to me, and I pick the hair off, and it helps the hair come off your finger real quick, so you can pick these hairs off pretty fast. Don't want a whole lot of hair in your meat. I mean, I guess it could bother some people. It don't really bother me that bad. But anyway, we'll do a little quick trim, just like the front shoulder. Trim off a little bit of fat, get rid of it. I add my own fat to my meat. Depending on what I'm making, I have a buddy, actually a cousin in the butcher shop. He gives me pork fat, or I can get beef fat. I like the beef fat in most of my grind. So I'm just peeling some of this off. Not saying deer fat's bad, but it's it's not quite as good as beef. But if I couldn't get it, I've done many of them where I've just ground them all up. So, I mean, I have gotten a little better at it over the years. I've never had any of my deer processed. I've always made everything myself, and I enjoy it immensely. So, I'm not a professional. Some of these cuts I probably don't know, but this is how I do it. And you can do it too right at your kitchen. Alright, now I've got some trimmed up. A little more. Just keep trimming, just keep trimming, just keep trimming. Alright, now you can see right there what's connecting all these muscles. Just rip that out with your hand. A lot of this stuff you can separate with your hand. You don't even need a knife. Well, I mean, depending on how big the deer is. I've shot some that you could probably process by hand, but anyway, this one was a pretty good doe. And just going to roll this piece out. This is my main roast piece. I like to put this in on the roast right there. Of course, it's got this big flap of film on it. Now there's a crease right here of that film. I'm just going to reach in there and just start pulling it off by hand. It comes right off. May have to get a little mean with it, but it does come off, and that separates this. I just call this the heart roast. It's kind of a heart-shaped piece of meat, and it makes for a fantastic roast. Cut the end of it off there. Bam, there it is. Beautiful. That's my roast. Every one of those I have, I put into a roast. I love them. Alright, and this little piece, grind. I will grind this little piece once I get it trimmed up a little bit. It does have a little fat on it and some heavy silver skin. And that right there does not go well with grinders, so I try to take as much of that off as I can. But if you'll freeze your meat before you grind it, so that's pretty stiff, it won't be near as bad. But yeah, that's just a little piece of grinding meat right there. Alright, this next piece I take off is a piece I like to use for jerky, but I've also used it in steak and roast. It is a dang good piece of meat. It's one of the bigger muscles on there, and it comes apart right in the same area. Just if you cut it like I showed you, this is how it's going to look when you get it on your table. And you just roll that sucker out. Once again, right there where the muscles meet, you can see the seam. You get over here where you can see it. You can just cut it out. And it's got a little ball of fat on it. There's a gland in there somewhere you gotta watch out for. More hair. And more trimming, and that right there is pretty much just ready for whatever you want to do with it, man. This is a good piece of meat, and I like to either use it as a big roast, or I will slice it up and make jerky out of it. now we got these last couple pieces. This one here is kind of like I think that's more of a, I don't know, I think it'd be like your hamstring, and it's kind of tough. I've tried making fajitas out of it and this and that, and it's pretty chewy, so I'll just trim the fat off of it, and that sucker usually goes right in the old grind pile, because I mean, it's chewy, so I grind it. Gotta have lots of grind around my house. Oh, okay, there it is. Yeah, I grind it. Alright, now we got this long piece of meat. I think there's our gland in that big chunk of fat there. There's another piece that goes to the grind. Alright, so there's our piece of meat with or fat with the gland in it. I'll go ahead and cut that open so you can look at it. There it is. Ugh, don't want to eat that. As far as I know, I don't want to eat that. And the rest of this piece, I'm just going to trim off this rather thick piece of tallow on the back there, or fat. This is can be pretty thick in the early season. It ain't so bad now, but it is a lot of fat. And like I said, I add my own, so I don't really need it. And then I just kind of trim it up a little bit more fat off of it, and that thing's ready for a roast, or to be sliced into jerky or steaks or fajitas or whatever you want to make with it. And like I said, I like to get this silver skin, a little bit of that silver skin on these edges off. They're pretty tough to cut sometimes, but you know, and that's it. That's your hind quarter, just as quick and easy as that. Hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed the video. God bless. Love y'all. I'll see you on the next one.